I'm Brooke Barnard, realtor with Liz Moore and Associates, and today we're talking with my husband, Hayden Barnard.
Hi.
About investing in real estate. Quick recap. Investing and holding rental properties was not our long-term vision. We were really thinking about flipping properties. And Hayden, who I'm going to kind of turn it over to here in a second, had a plan that I didn't know about and really kind of talked me into it. And our first investment property, which we've had now for several years, is a long-term rental. And now we also have a short-term rental, an Airbnb property. So I was nervous about both of them, and it took me a long time to get comfortable. And as someone in real estate, that's kind of hard to imagine for a lot of people. But he really got me interested in it, and now it's something we talk about, investing more and more into both long-term and short-term rentals. But I'll let him kind of talk more about it because he did a lot of research and had to convince me, especially with Airbnb, that it was going to be financially a smart decision to do. But I'll let him talk about both of them.
Sure. So long-term rental, like Brooke said, we bought about, 3 years ago?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but 2018?
18. And we have that with Liz Moore Property Management, which has been great. It's basically, we haven't had to do much with it. So, and it's been doing really well. We've had our tenant in there now is on her second year. She takes really good care of it. So that's good. So as far as the short-term rental goes, it was 2019, early 2019, and I was listening to a podcast called The Real Estate Guys that I listen to all the time. They rarely talk about short-term rentals, but this time they happened to have somebody on, and that's the first I was kind of got the thought that that's really interesting. So from there, I just searched for other podcasts, and there's a ton of information out there and a ton of podcasts on short-term rentals. So I'm in the car a lot, driving a lot, and so with that, I just immersed myself in the podcast and learned all I could, and this was probably over the course of a month or two. And then at that point, I started looking for possible houses, and we found two to go look at, and we looked at them both on the same day. Is that right?
We did, yeah. We found two properties, and we only looked at those two, and we bought one.
Yep.
But definitely, I think with both the short-term and the long-term rental property, the numbers are really important when you're investing. And I know that it's kind of seems obvious, but for us, it was really knowing everything we needed to know about how much we were willing to put into it, how much money we needed to make. And for the long-term one, it was how fast are we going to pay it off, so how much we would be making. So for that one, it is an HOA community, so we knew we weren't going to be making a lot of money in the beginning on that because we do have to pay HOA dues. So, and the rent is what it is. So our investment in the beginning was more than how much, not more, but the numbers didn't make a lot of sense to me in the beginning. So he had to really talk me through that and how it was going to pay off in the future for us. And now, since we bought that in 18 and where the market is now, we see the sales all around it, and we could sell it if we had to and make a huge profit. But we have a great tenant, like he was saying, and having Liz Moore manage it for us makes it really easy, so we don't have to worry about the tenant or the repairs or anything like that. But in the beginning, really knowing that it was going to be a long-term investment for us, that the numbers were okay to look a certain way, was something we really had to sit down and go over. And with the Airbnb, knowing you had to furnish it, you had to paint it, those are totally different numbers that you have to wrap your head around. And then with that, you also have to know why people are going to be renting it. So that was, we had to get to know a different market. That wasn't the Richmond market. That was, for us, it's in Wintergreen. So it was understanding what's going on up there and looking at it as a vacation spot. We also bought that property, as he said, and we closed in December of 2019. So I think we all know what happened shortly after that. So that was a big panic moment for us. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so when COVID hit, we, like you said, initially panicked because we just started having cancellation after cancellation. We had only been up and running for 2 months, and then all of a sudden
we had just finished painting and dropping a ton of money into it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then everything shut down, and people canceled, and that went on for probably about 2 months, and then slowly people were like, wow, the mountains are the place to be during
Isolation.
COVID.
Yeah.
Get isolated, and then since May of last year, it's been booked at least every weekend for 14 straight months.
Yeah.
So, and that's still going strong. So COVID may have ended up actually helping our particular Airbnb, where some other ones maybe in cities that probably hurt. So.
No, yeah, I would say COVID definitely helped the whole Airbnb market in general. I think the stats I've heard from the people that own Airbnbs across the country that they need more Airbnb properties. So if you are looking at investing your money into real estate and buying investment property, Airbnbs and short-term rentals are definitely a very good option to go for. You have to be careful about local rules and regulations because certain localities don't allow short-term rentals and Airbnb, so you have to make sure you're familiar with what's going on in the area. But if it's allowed, it's a great way to make money. You do also have to be careful about who you're renting to. So that was something we ran into in the beginning. We had, it wasn't the very beginning, it was kind of shortly thereafter, but people kind of coming in and having huge parties and kind of learning how we could phrase things in our write-up and then extending it so we had a minimum 3-night stay and kind of keeping the parties down. People didn't want to party, or the big party people didn't want to afford 3 nights, so that would cut down on the big parties and the big groups, kind of changing some things like that. But you kind of learn as you go a little bit, but that's been more of a learning experience than the long-term rental has been.
Yes. So the main appeal for the short-term rental for us was, one, the potential profits are significantly higher than long-term rental, and also that we also get to use the property for our family. So we've been able to get up to the mountains quite a few times. And so the language for the income that a short-term rental can do, they say if you can do 2x, which means 2 times a long-term rental, then you're doing good, or even more. And so we, in our best months, can do 3 times what it would rent for as a long-term rental. So we've been good with that. And also if you're thinking about getting into a short-term rental, you can either completely manage it yourself, which takes a lot of time and hassle. You can have a company that we use, it's called Evolve, and they handle just all the marketing. They come in, they do the photography, they do the write-up, they put it on 10 different websites, they handle the bookings, and then they pay the money, but you're still responsible for hiring the cleaner and making sure it's maintained and has all the furnishings and coffee and everything. So, and then they also have full property managers who you essentially just turn it over and they handle everything. And obviously there's different fee structures. Typically a property manager that takes it on completely is going to cost you about 25% of your income. But it can also be worth it to take that hassle off of you.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different ways to make money in investing in properties. So I know for us it's been an adventure, but now it's part of our long-term goals as a family to add a new investment property to our family. Hopefully every other year we'll add a different, either a long-term or a short-term property to our, I guess, real estate portfolio as we're moving forward. But it was definitely very nerve-wracking in the beginning, and COVID certainly added more stress to that for all of us. But, figuring it all out along the way has been an adventure, right?
It has.
Yeah.
But it's been fun.
Yeah, right. But, and if you would like more information and want to hear more about the short-term or the long-term, definitely give me a call. I'd be happy to explain more to you about it and give you more either about the short-term or the long-term. And Hayden loves talking about the Airbnb. So he's happy to share his podcast information with you and kind of teach you a little bit more about Evolve and some of the other companies he's learned about too that help him manage ours.